Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your July 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, as it will be the most accurate for you overall. If you do have time to watch your sun and moon sign horoscopes as well, I would do so because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will tell you more about your family life, relationships, your property and living circumstances, and your emotional health and well-being. And now let's get into your reading. So, on the 2nd of July, we're going to see Mars in Aries in your 9th house make a square to Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. And this will be at 27 degrees. It would be worth casting your mind back to around the 3rd of March, which is when we saw the Mars and Pluto conjunction at 27 degrees. The reason I'm saying that is because this is the opening square, which is following on from that transit. So, with the 9th house representing your freedom, travel, adventure, education, as well as your moral code and beliefs, this will be in conflict to what the 6th house represents, which is your work, your responsibilities and duties, debts, and also your health and daily routines. So, essentially, when we have a Mars and Pluto square or any kind of Mars and Pluto contact, what we are analyzing here is the difference between what you are consciously taking action towards, your ambition, your drive, your willpower, as well as frustration and aggression. And then we're looking at underlying forces. What do you desire at a deeper level? What do you require psychologically? And what do you need to expose or heal from? So basically, this square between your 9th house and your 6th house can see you having some sort of painful realization or epiphany where you are realizing that you'll have to make significant changes to your daily routines, your habits, your work, your health, or perhaps how you handle money, given that the 6th house represents debts. So essentially, in order to have the kind of life that you want that maybe involves more travel, allows you more freedom, allows you to go on adventures, or perhaps pursue further educations, higher studies or further education, you may need to quit your job, confront your boss. You may need to address the conflict between your ethics and your moral code and the duties that you are either required to carry out in your day-to-day life or perhaps your work responsibilities. So basically, this can see you realizing that your future and potentially your sense of freedom is controlled by money in a way. And I'm saying this because Pluto represents control. And with Pluto being in the 6th house, this represents some sort of debt. Now, this could be an actual financial debt, or this could be a sense of guilt or shame or obligation, given that the 6th house represents being of service. So I don't want you guys to freak out though. We do have this transit every year. And basically, this allows you an opportunity to break out of feeling like you're controlled by something or someone and pursue the kind of freedom and future that you want for yourself. Now, on the 5th of July, Mars is going to enter the sign of Taurus, which means it will be transiting your 10th house. When Mars transits the 10th house, we can be very proactive and assertive when it comes to seeking out changes in our career or perhaps taking on a position of leadership or more responsibilities. So Mars will be here until the 20th of August, and this can see you seeking out a promotion. And you could be very assertive in how you do this, given that the 10th house represents your boss and authority figures, and Mars represents taking action and taking initiative. So maybe you're asking for a promotion. You could actually receive a promotion. You could be afforded a position of leadership or important responsibilities. You may just be doing the groundwork to make some sort of career change or be looking at how you can enact a career transition. And this may even be you wanting to work for yourself or simply just change departments or divisions. Now, on a different level, even if you are currently unemployed, whether you've been looking for work or perhaps you had retired, this can see you re-entering the workforce by your own initiative that you are taking. Now, because the 10th house can represent your boss may be quite agitated during this 6-week period of time. They could be quite pushy. They could be asking you to, or pressuring you, or trying to pressure you, not saying they're going to be successful. And this could be pressuring you to commit to some sort of higher form of education, given that Mars rules over the 9th house. They could be pressuring you to go on some sort of international trip, or they could even be pressuring you to relocate from where you're currently living. And I'm saying this because Mars rules over your 4th house, which represents your property and living circumstances. But having said that, the shoe could be on the other foot. If you are a boss or if you're in some sort of managerial role, this could see you coming off as quite pushy. Best case scenario, though, is that you are inspiring your team to be quite bold, or maybe you're sort of like in a coaching role where you are motivating other people. On a different note, you may be asking your boss for the opportunity to go on an international trip, for more educational opportunities, for more freedom and liberties at work, or perhaps you are assertively approaching your boss or someone who's in a position of leadership within your company or organization to ask them to effect some sort of relocation process for you. Lastly, with this particular transit, this can see you guys with respect to your public reputation, being viewed as a powerful and inspirational leader who is very capable. Okay. But worst case scenario is that you could be coming off as aggressive or quite brutish. And of course, this transit can lead to conflicts with your boss or with the authorities. So this could see you getting in trouble with the police. So you just want to be mindful of that. Now, on the 13th of July, Venus in Gemini in your 11th house is going to make a trine to Saturn in Aquarius in your 7th house. So trines carry the energy of Jupiter. They are very beneficial and harmonious aspects. And basically, they represent flowing energy or something going well or in your favor, or maybe even receiving help or support from another person. So on one hand, this can impact you with respect to collaboration opportunities. So we've got Venus representing relationships. It's in your 11th house, which is a social house and a business house. And we've got Saturn in your 7th house, and Saturn can represent making a promise or a commitment to someone. And the 7th house represents your one-to-one personal connections. So this could see you entering into an ongoing collaboration with another person. You may be forming a new business partnership, or perhaps you are agreeing to work on a large scale and or long-term project with another person, or you could even be starting a YouTube channel or a podcast with another person. Now, because the 11th house represents friendships, this can see you forming a very solid friendship with another person. It's likely that there is an age gap here because of the influence of Saturn, so they could be older or younger. It's 11:11 right now, as I'm saying that, by the way. On a different note, you could be receiving some very sound advice from an older person or a friend, and this could be with respect to your future projects, your future in general, friendship advice, or relationship advice. Now, your friends or a friend could ask you to work for them, given that Saturn rules over your 6th house and it's in your 7th house of contracts. Or they could be asking you to perform a service for them, or they could be investing in one of your ideas or in one of your projects. So they could be helping you out financially. And this is indicated by the fact that the 11th house, where Venus is a money house. So this basically represents some sort of financial support, and the 11th house can represent benefactors, sponsorships, and just as an example, you can think of this as like a Kickstarter program. Now, on a different note, this can see you entering into a romantic relationship with someone. I would see this more as something that you've already got going on that is established, which is now taking a more serious step. So I would say that this would be someone that you already have a history with. So maybe you're already dating them, or you've been romantically involved before. Saturn in your 7th house can represent a commitment to this person. So basically, you could be going exclusive with them. This could actually indicate a proposal of sorts. So maybe this is an engagement or a marriage proposal or something which is binding in a sense. Now, although your 5th house is not aspected, just remember that Venus represents relationships, and also when the 5th house is receiving a major aspect, especially an opposition or a trine, this can indicate relationship or dating energy. And of course, Venus is opposite the 5th house as it's in the 11th house. I hope that makes sense. Now, on the 17th or 18th of July, depending where you live in the world, Venus will enter the sign of Cancer, and that means it will be transiting your 12th house, and it will be there until the 11th of August. Wherever Venus goes, this is where we can enjoy whatever that house represents, or we can feel romantically I was going to say creatively inspired, but I am going to talk about romance as well. So I'll go through a few different ways that this can play out. First of all, this can equate to more R&R, meaning rest and relaxation time. The 12th house is one of the houses which is connected to lovers. So that's because the 12th house rules over the bedroom, just literally bedrooms. And Venus represents relationships and love. So this can see you enjoying more time with your partner or with a lover in the bedroom. This can indicate a hidden affair. And on a different note, this can see you traveling to a foreign, far away place, or a place which is very secluded, or it could be quite tropical. Maybe it's an island. The 12th house rules over islands. And even if you're not traveling per se, you could visit a very beautiful, secluded and serene place during this time. You could be enjoying a spa day, yoga, meditation, or even some sort of divinatory practice. So perhaps you are receiving an astrology reading or a tarot reading. This could be that you are giving an astrology or a tarot reading, and this could be to a friend, especially because Venus rules over your 3rd house. On a different note, creatively speaking, this is an amazing time for you guys because the 12th house is one of the most creative houses in astrology. So this could see you experiencing a creative surge when it comes to writing poetry, creative writing, fantasy writing. I would just class this as nonfiction, by the way. Also, the 12th house rules over acting and film and photography to an extent. So perhaps you are having some sort of creative boost when it comes to wanting to film something new or take a collection of photographs. And this could even look like you acting in some sort of film or TV series. Now, 2 more transits to go. On the 28th/29th of July, depending where you live in the world, Jupiter is going to station retrograde in Aries at 8 degrees, and this will be in your 9th house. So I would ask you to consider what you have learned since the 10th of May when Jupiter first entered the sign of Aries, or what you have experienced, or what plans you have set in motion for your future, especially if they involve education, further learning, higher studies, travel, going on some sort of adventure, your religious and spiritual beliefs, and a few other areas as well. So basically, Jupiter will be retrograde until the end of the 23rd of, let me just check, is it October or November? Jupiter will be direct again on the 23rd of November, but it will be in Pisces. It will not re-enter the sign of Aries until the 20th of December. So essentially, during this retrograde period, you will be focusing on the actions that you have taken or the steps that you've taken towards furthering your education. Maybe you have been putting plans into motion for a travel trip or preparing for some sort of journey. On a different note, this can see you learning or studying really hard when it comes to your religious beliefs or your spiritual beliefs. You may be actually training to become a spiritual leader or a religious leader. So, just as an example, maybe you're in some sort of training to become a monk or to become a nun, and maybe you're not going to receive your I don't even know what the word is, but advance or progress to that level until Jupiter is either direct again. So this will be, let's just say, around Christmas time, or you may have to wait until May 2023 when Jupiter leaves the sign of Aries. Now, the ninth house also represents publishing as well as the law and teachers. So you may be waiting for approval to hear back from a publisher for a book that you have written. You may receive you may have submitted a few chapters of your book. Maybe it's not even finished yet, and now you have to finish the rest or write the rest of the book. So you could have sort of like the skeleton of the book and what you want to write. On a different note, this could see you studying to advance to a higher position within the law system. So maybe you are studying to take the bar. Maybe you're trying to become a barrister, or maybe you have applied to become a judge or a justice. And again, the process is not complete yet. It may not be complete until May next year in 2023. So, lastly, you may have been told or advised that you can study under someone else, so you could become their pupil, or perhaps you are becoming a mentor, but the preparations are in place, but the time frame won't be till maybe the end of the year, or let's say in the first quarter of next year. And lastly, on this transit, before I move on, you could be going through the process of adopting a child, or perhaps you are becoming a step parent, but your responsibilities as an adoptive parent or a step parent may not come into play until Jupiter is in Aries once again, which will be between the 20th of December and May next year. And now for the last transit for the month, on the 31st of July, Uranus, the North Node of Mars, will be making a conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your 10th house. Uranus in the North Node will be at 18 degrees, but Mars will be at 17 degrees. Because Mars is so close to this transit, it is worth considering how it is going to impact this conjunction. Now, Uranus and the North Node only form a conjunction once every 15 to 16 years. So essentially, this is indicating a new chapter that is starting in your life. So, with respect to everything that I'm going to cover with this conjunction, it may not all take place on the 31st of July, but you could be taking action to move in that direction. So, with the 10th house ruling over your career, your reputation, and your status, your public self or your professional self, so to speak, as well as large corporations and governments, these are the areas that will be of focus for you. At the very least, this is what I'm going to focus on. So let's talk about your career first. On one hand, this can see you experimenting. Okay, so the North Node represents experimenting something new. It can represent risk-taking behavior, being quite confrontational or controversial. Uranus also has the energy of being controversial, but with Uranus, it's more about being your authentic self and not caring what other people have to say. And then we've got Mars ruling over being bold, being daring, being courageous, and taking action. So this can see you breaking the mold, doing something new, fighting for a career opportunity, or throwing your hat in the ring. This could see you applying for a job or maybe even a position within your workplace, which is a huge shock to other people. Maybe they just can't believe that you are taking your career in this new direction. So you can see how what you're doing with career can then reflect upon your reputation and your status. A random hypothetical example that I always like to give is, think about if you're an accountant and then one day you're just saying to people, I'm an astrologer actually, and I'm quitting my job. There can be this like shocking departure, which is either physical or figurative, and people are just like completely taken aback by this new direction that you want to go in. So, on a different note, this can see you revealing your vision for some sort of technology that you're developing, or a new invention, an innovation, or something that you have engineered. And I'm saying this because Mars rules over engineering. And then we've also got Mars ruling over your ninth house, which represents this vision that you have. And, the ninth house is connected to prophecies as well. So, on a different note, Uranus carries the energy of going viral. You can become well known, even famous. Something that I'd like you to consider is that when a video goes viral or when someone's actions become well known or public knowledge, usually Uranus is involved, or the sign of Aquarius itself, and their midheaven is involved. So, for those of you who have your midheaven, and this will only be let me give you some degrees to work with. If you are a Leo rising or a Leo ascendant, if your midheaven is in Taurus, and especially if it is around this, let's just say, 16 to 19 degree mark, this can see you becoming well known, something that you've done going viral. The same can be said if you are a Leo sun with your around, again, this 16, 17, 18, 19 degree mark. If you're a Leo moon, this won't necessarily impact you in this way so much, but nevertheless, moving on to relationships, this applies to Leo rising, suns, and moons. This can see you going through a shocking change with respect to one of your relationships. Now, if this is romantic, this would be more for Leo risings and moons. Maybe you're going through a romantic breakup and this can become public knowledge. And I'm saying this because Uranus rules over your 7th house. So, in some way, shape, or form, what is happening between you and another person with respect to a contract or an agreement, this is being impacted. Now, you can be forming a new relationship because this is a conjunction. So this can represent something new. And if this were to be taking place, this could be quite shocking. Maybe you're getting into a relationship with someone who is very different from you. And, you can take that in any way that you like. For some of you, being of a different nationality may be more shocking to your family or your culture. Or it could just be that, um, maybe you are someone who has a very conventional sort of life and persona, and maybe your partner is someone who's really out there. Maybe you're getting together with an astrologer. I don't know why I always use astrology as an example. I guess it's because I'm an astrologer. On a different note, this can see the same thing being true of business partnerships and professional contracts as well. So basically, anything which would impact your reputation when it comes to people that you do or don't associate with anymore, this could become something that people are talking about, whether this is within your community, online, within, let's just say, the context of your social media platforms, and so on and so forth. Now, lastly, this can see you making a decision or revealing news that shocks other people. This could be about your relationship preferences. This could be about where you're planning to live with Mars ruling over your 4th house. Or this could be something to do with your family life, or with Mars ruling over your 9th house. This could be you publicly announcing a change of religion or spiritual beliefs or political beliefs. And if I didn't mention it already, you could make a shock exit from the workforce or from your company. Maybe you're quitting unceremoniously. And if you do work for a large corporation or perhaps even the government or some sort of old and established organization, this can see there being some sort of new thing which is introduced by this corporation or this business or by the government. Maybe this is tearing down old systems, introducing new systems, or some sort of aggressive merger or restructuring process. Or they could be introducing something which is very foreign, as indicated by the North Node, into your workplace. And so, Leo, that's all I have for you for July 2022. I forgot to mention to enjoy Leo season, which will start around the 22nd/23rd of August. So you guys will be shining bright. Enjoy your birthday month for you Leo suns, and I will see you in August.